My father passed into the presence of the Lord on September the 4th, 2003. Connie and I and Chris had come home that summer to put her into university, and I had arranged to be gone for a few weeks from the church in order to be near my dad, be with the family at that time. And I have to say, pretty much fully expecting that he would pass away. He did not. He continued to rally and go on, and of course that was a good thing. But I eventually had to go back, and so I returned to Alexandria, Egypt, and Connie stayed with Chris, and we were trying to sort out how long that would be and everything when I was approached by one of the elders in the church, who was a missionary there, and he said, Pastor, you're supposed to go back and be with your father. And I said, oh? He said, yeah, in fact, you must. I'm telling you, go back and be with your father. I said, well, Dave, that sounds pretty strong. Do you think you got a word from God on this? He goes, absolutely. You're to go back. And here's how it's going to work. If you leave from Alexandria, then I will pick you up and take you to the airport here. If you cannot get a flight here and you have to go to Cairo, then another brother in the church, Kingsley, a businessman, he will have his driver take you down to the airport in Cairo. So you need to find out when you can get a ticket as soon as you can. Well, I said, like today? He goes, yeah, today. So I said, well, I don't really know. My dad is, he's failing completely now. He's been going back and forth, and I'll call my sister and see what she says. So I called my sister, and Bonnie said, Jim, I was just getting ready to call you because Dad really is this time. He really is slipping away. And if you want to be here, then you need to get here as soon as you can. So this confirmed what Dave and Kingsley had concocted. And so I reached out to our Christian travel agent, a wonderful Armenian lady in the community, and had helped us on their previous tickets and that. And she couldn't find a flight. Finally, she said, I will keep looking, Pastor. So she found one on a plane leaving out of Cairo. And so finally, and so I that was decided. So I got a hold of the guys, and they came to the house, and I packed, and off I went. But Kingsley, the brother, he said, I know this is all of a sudden, so here, and he gave me $500. He says, I know you weren't expecting this, and I hadn't had time to get cash or whatever, so off we went. On the way there, I got a phone call from a brother in Pastor Dave in Maryland, and asked how much my plane ticket was. And in those days, one-way ticket was round trip ticket was $825, and his church sent the money for that. So I arrived in Los Angeles and was taken straight away to the hospital where my dad was. And when I got there, it was he was already in a morphine-induced coma. And I sat by him and held his hand, and I felt ever so much, a slight of pressure on my hand. And I'm telling you, it looked like he made eye contact with me, but nothing was happening, demonstrably. He was just like, I don't know, it just seemed like that was what was going on. So I think it was about 7 o'clock when I got there, and we got around the bed. We stood there. Was my wife and my daughter Chris and my sister Marilyn and mom and me. We stood around the edge of the bed, and I prayed. Now, prior to this moment, I talked with the girls, my sisters, and we said, we think Dad, we think we should release him, and we talked about that. And I said, well, okay, I just don't feel I can do that yet, and so that's as far as that went. So, but there, that night, standing there at the foot of his bed, I felt like God tell me, you need to release him. He's coming to me, and you need to let him go. So I prayed. And Mom was sitting next to me, and when I said, Lord, we just release him into your presence, Mom kind of sunk her head into my shoulder. I'm a lot taller than she is. And we just knew. And he died that night, during the middle of the night. They had gone to check on him at some point early morning. and he had slipped into the presence of the Lord. So I was thankful that God arranged for me to be there. And we talked to some folks about that, and the nurses were, yeah, no, medical people, no, we're not sure. We don't think he could really contact you or connect with you. But the hospice people, one of them said, no, no. We later found out, no, they're very often, when someone is dying, they will choose who is with them in the room, and if anyone is in the room, if they want to be alone. And so they believe that my father was sort of holding on as best he could until I got there. So I was grateful for that time, and that Dave heard the Lord, and the Lord had arranged all this to where I could be there. And it just seemed important to all of us that I would be there, and I'm grateful to the Lord that He arranged that.